Finding slope between 2 points. So here I've given you an example of 2 points and m, which stands for slope, question mark. What is the slope between those 2 points? The best way to do this is to plot these 2 points, because if you just start getting into adding and subtracting numbers here, a lot of times you're going to make a mistake on whether the slope is positive if these 2 points make a line that's going up, or if the slope is negative if these 2 points make a line that's going down. The way to avoid making that mistake is to plot these 2 points, connect them with a line, and then it's really clear if this line is going up or down, if this slope is negative or positive. So you've got negative 2, 1, that's right here, and 1, 5 is up here. So when you connect those 2 points, that line is clearly going up. So now we know we have a positive slope. All right, and that's half the battle. Half the battle is getting your positives and negatives right. Because on a test, it's multiple choice. You're going to see the correct answer twice. You're going to see the correct number twice, but one of your choices is going to be positive and the other one's going to be negative. So you have to get that part right. You have to know if your slope is positive or negative. All right, now to come up with the actual number. There's a couple different ways to do this. If you've already graphed it, you've got your points on there, you can just count rise over run, how far up and how far over from one point to the next. So you're going up from 1 up to 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces up. And you're going over from negative 2 to 1. That's 3 spaces over. Rise over run is 4/3. So you could do this whole problem just with the graph if you prefer to do it that way. Another way would be to make a table, and we were doing this yesterday with x and y intercepts. So you can enter your 2 points into the table, negative 2, 1 and 1, 5, and then to find slope is the same way you would find rate of change. And to find rate of change, you just see what do you add or subtract from one number to the next. How do you get from 1 to 5? You add 4. How do you get from negative 2 to 1? You add 3. So your slope or rate of change is 4/3, which is correct. That's what we got, 4/3. Now, I always get the question, if you make a table, how do you know which point goes first and which point goes second? And the answer is, it doesn't matter. You could put either one first or second. So I'll switch the order just to prove it to you. If I put 1, 5 first and negative 2, 1 second, now to get from 5 to 1, I'm subtracting 4. So this is a -4. And to get from 1 to negative 2, I'm subtracting 3. So now I have -4 over -3. And when you have a negative divided by a negative, you get a positive answer. So this is actually positive 4/3. So we still end up with positive 4/3. This can be a little bit tricky sometimes when just with the positives and negatives in general can make this a little bit tricky to know if your slope is supposed to be positive or negative. There's nothing tricky about this. If you plot these 2 points, it's going to be really easy to tell if it's positive or negative. This is the best way to figure if your slope is positive or if it's negative. Just plot the 2 points and you can at least get this part correct. And then when it comes to figuring out the number, some people have got this down. They can do the count from one point to the next. Other people had the rate of change down really well, so maybe you prefer to plot these 2 points and do the rate of change method, whichever one's easiest for you. If you look in the book or you look online how to find slope between 2 points, they're going to give you a crazy formula that's going to look like this. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, some people like formulas and just plugging a number into a formula and getting an answer and being done with it. That's why some people like algebra better than geometry. So if you're one of those people and you just want a formula that you can plug numbers into and solve for, then maybe this is for you. So here's a third way to find slope between 2 points. What these y2 and y1, x2, x1 represent are your x and y coordinates. So you just pick one of these points as your first point. So I'll just go in order. We'll say this is our first point and this is our second point. So therefore this is the -2 would be x1 and the 1 would be y1, and then down here the 1 would be x2 and the 5 would be y2. So now you have your four numbers. You can just plug them into the equation and you will get y2 is 5 minus y1, which is 1, over x2, which is 1, minus x1, which is -2. So that's where this method could get a little bit tricky because you run into minus and negatives a lot, which is actually addition. When you subtract the negative, you're adding. So this is 5 minus 1 over 1 plus 2, which is 4 over 3. So another way to get the slope between 2 points. When you do it this way, you don't necessarily have to plot those 2 points and connect them with a line because you'll get the correct positive or negative here. However, I still recommend plotting those 2 points because whenever you're dealing with positives and negatives, it's really easy to make a mistake. You could easily come up with a -4/3 here and think that you did your math right, but you didn't. And if you were to plot these 2 points and connect them with a line, you would know that this has to be positive. So I'm not going to stop saying that plotting these 2 points and connecting them with a line is highly recommended to get your positives and negatives right.